Oh, man. This is the day. Yo, Lexi, thank you for the Prime subscription. Real quick. This is the day that we've all been waiting on. Feel like the past weeks, this is what I've been waiting on. We got the chips, bro. You feel me? Don't worry about the name brand, though. Toxie, this ain't for you. Relax. She's finally talking, bro. She finally came on stand. And there's 5 bangers on here. And I'm here for all of them, bro. We're gonna start with the first one. Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way this is happening right now. No way this is happening right now. Oh my gosh, Hakeem with another 10 gifted. Look how she's walking on the stand, bro. Like she knows she did this shit. She ready for this, bro. I'm not saying I'm choosing her side, but she looked ready. That's the first and foremost. I'm just saying she looked ready. She looked ready. She coming, and she looked ready, bro. We here. We've been waiting on this day. We here.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Talk about it.
Will you please state your name?
Yes, it's Amber Laura Hurd.
And what is your address?
I live in Yucca Valley, California.
And how old are you, Amber?
I am 36. I just celebrated.
Okay. And do you have a daughter?
Did you celebrate, though? Like, talk about it. Did you celebrate, boo-boo? Did you?
I do. She also celebrated her birthday recently. She's 1.
Okay. And what is your profession?
I am an actor, mostly.
Okay.
Mostly, huh?
Now, why are you here?
Talk about it.
I am here because my ex-husband is suing me for an op-ed I wrote.
And how do you feel about that?
I struggle to have the words. I struggle to find the words to describe how painful this is. This is horrible for me.
But hold on. But was it horrible when you came out and you was talking? Did you think about that? I'm gonna shut up, though. I'm gonna shut up.
To sit here for weeks and relive everything. Hear people that I knew, some well, some not. My ex-husband, with whom I shared a life. Speak about our lives in the way that they have. This is the most painful and difficult thing I've ever gone through, for sure.
Now, there was a trial in the UK in July of 2020 where Mr. Depp had sued the Sun newspaper and Dan Wooten. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And what was your level of participation in that lawsuit, in that trial?
Talk about it.
Well, I was not party to that lawsuit. I was a witness, I suppose the primary witness, since it dealt with the truth of the relationship that I shared with Johnny.
And what, if any, role did you have to play with respect to, for example, witness statements and testifying?
Objection, compound.
Hearsay.
I said, for example.
Hearsay.
Overruled.
Look at her. Stop it.
I had to write, I think I gave 7 witness statements. under oath testimony. I sat on the stand for 4 days under mostly cross-examination. And up until this point, it was the hardest thing I had ever had to do.
Thank you, Amber. I'm going to take you back, and if you can just tell the jury a little bit about your background. Tell us where you grew up.
I come from Austin, Texas, a small town outside of Austin that you probably haven't heard of. Okay. No one has. It's called Maynard.
Not heard of it.
I was raised by my mother and my father, and I grew up with a little sister, although I have a big sister as well.
And your little sister's name is?
Her name is Whit, Whit Hurd.
And how much of an age difference is there between the two of you?
Whitney and I are about 1 year. I think we're 16 months apart.
You think?
So right next to each other.
And that your sister?
And what did your father do for a living?
My father broke horses and did construction. He painted houses, and hunted and fished. But that was for fun.
And what did your mom do?
She worked for the state of Texas.
Let me just, since you talked about the breaking horses, can you just tell the jury what your role is in assisting your dad on that and what is involved in breaking horses?
Objection leading.
Hearsay.
Can you just tell me about?
Overruled. Good. You just got to stay on, basically. I would help him. I was more of a crash test dummy. You know, when you train a horse, it's a wild animal. It doesn't necessarily like to be ridden. And there are people out there who are crazy enough, like my dad, to pick that as a profession, I guess. And he was really good with horses, and I was the son he never had, so it was my job to, stay on.
And what, if anything, did you learn from your father about how to react to the horses?
Well, with training horses, I guess the key things are to not show fear, not get intimidated, not show fear, be tough and calm.
Tell the jury a little bit about your educational background during those growing up years and your work experience.
I worked any job that I could from the time I was really young. I wanted to get out of Texas and do something with my life and see things and do things.
Like what?
So I was in school and really pushed myself to, I just always pushed myself to be able to accelerate the process. I wanted to, get out of school as fast as I could, and I wanted to do more things with my life than stay in Texas.
So what types of things, so where did you go to school when you were younger?
I was a scholarship kid at a Catholic school growing up, several different Catholic schools, but they were always in the other, on the other side of town, in the wealthier part of town. And I grew up quite working class, and thankfully with, as long as I maintained an A average, I enjoyed the benefit of a scholarship, and I did that until I realized that I could take my GED and SATs early, and I did that and placed out of school and effectively left school at 16 years old, I believe.
And what did you do for work during those younger years?
I took any job that I could. I worked at my father's construction company, sometimes, just administrative stuff. I mean, it was a small company. But I answered phones, and I worked at a modeling agency that was also, offered photography classes, makeup classes, hair and makeup classes for people that were pursuing a career in entertainment. And I started taking classes that I paid for by working there, effectively as a trade. And I eventually worked there long enough to be able to pay for my headshots, which are the pictures that you use in the industry to promote yourself, you know, in whatever, acting, modeling, or both.
Okay. And what, if any, charitable work did you do when you were still young?
It started off as a requirement for the school I went to, and then I liked it so much, I think, because it meant I wasn't at home.
You know what's crazy? You know who's asking all these questions? Her lawyer. Her lawyer. Why? Because they want us to relate to her. No one gives a fuck.
And that was important to me, is just to not spend time at home. And I really loved meeting people, so I worked at the soup kitchen every morning before school, during the school year, for about 4 years. I didn't go on weekends, but on weekends I would do various things. Worked at children's museums, typically, because they would work with younger volunteers. And mostly soup kitchens and things involving children. I worked at the with deaf kids for a while, and yeah, I love it.
And when you worked with deaf kids, what, if anything, did you do to learn to be?
A course at the community college, which I ended up going to get out of high school early later on, but I would audit classes. The teachers never wanted to kick the random 12-year-old out of their class, I suppose. So I remarkably was able to audit.
That white, bro?
I think the majority of 2 semesters, and that's also helped me learn.
So how did you end up in Los Angeles?
I did a small job in Texas where I played a part in a movie. And the actor in the movie that I was playing opposite had an agent visiting him from LA. And I met her on set, and she said that she had heard about me from another bit part I did. You know, I was taking jobs in Austin for really anything, to be an extra, to apply I did makeup once. No job was too small or, for me. So I put myself out there, and she had heard about me, and she said, I have heard about you in this town, and I'd love to meet you in LA if you're ever out in LA. And I was like, when can I come? And she...
Hey, y'all.
Y'all want some? With me
y'all want some while she's talking?
And I used
y'all want some? Grab
all
some, y'all.
but $180 or something to get out there.
Yeah,
and that's, I landed. I didn't know anyone. I was 17. And I've effectively been there ever since, I suppose.
Got you.
So when you arrived in Hollywood, please tell the jury what you did to get moving there, get going.
I went to every audition, every casting, every meeting, every appointment that I could. I put myself out there. I didn't have a car.
Thank you for the gift of subs, bro. Grab yourself some, bro.
Expensive. So I took the bus around LA. It was before smartphones. I had a Thomas guide in my bag and a change of tank tops. Not that it mattered, but I went to about 10 auditions sometimes a day, and would change clothes if I needed to in the back of the bus I was taking, and I just hustled from one audition to the other. And I got a bit part on one thing, and then I got a bit part on another thing, and then eventually my roles kind of became more important or bigger, and it's been a slow progression, I guess, since then, of doing either tiny bit parts in bigger movies or doing, larger roles in movies that no one would see. And I guess, it still is kind of like that.
So I'm going to ask you to go from 2002 to 2009.
Here we
if you
go.
could just describe for the jury a little bit what types of parts you had.
Hey, here we go.
I
Here we
think
go. Here we go.
They've indicated they didn't. You have not been well known here in this courtroom compared to Mr. Depp. So perhaps just take them through a little bit of that.
Oh, that was a slow.
That's fair.
That was a slow diss.
I did small roles in big films like Zombieland and
Wait.
Pineapple Express.
Oh, she was the girl in the beginning of Zombieland that went to his apartment that he ends up hitting with the toilet seat, bro, with the toilet cover. Wow. Hey, grab yourself some, y'all. This shit, bro.
And movies that were well known. My first one was Friday Night Lights. But again, I had small roles in those bigger films. And then I would do larger roles in kind of smaller films. Like I did a project where I was the lead in a John Carpenter film, and he came out of retirement to do that. And that's kind of how it was in terms of my career for those that first initial 10 years or so. It was just going from slightly bigger role to slightly bigger role, and just working my butt off.
Now she was just talking about her upbringing. Hearsay. It's gonna build up like this, slowly. Amber Heard said, "Given till death, knife was romantic." I don't know what that means, but keep going. Yeah, I can't hear you, ma'am.
And I had the foil off of the.
Annetta, thank you so much for the gift this sub.
And put it on my ring finger, and I had only been with him like days, or maybe it was weeks at the time. Yeah, it was probably about a few weeks, but it just felt very intense. But we weren't doing normal life stuff. We weren't like stuck in traffic with each other. We weren't going to the grocery store and doing life. We were like hiding in these places around the world. He has so many homes, and so we'd be in one of those homes or my home at the time, and it would be like a bubble, like we were in this little bubble of secrecy, and it felt like
too quick?
A warm glow.
I feel
as
you.
We would say.
I feel you, sis. Just
music and the kind of books that we both loved and poetry that we both knew by heart, and it felt like a dream. It felt like absolute magic.
So while you're dating, I take it you're dating at this point, right?
Yeah, sorry,
while you're falling in love, you're also dating, right? Okay.
Yes.
Did there come a time early on that you ended up going to his Bahamas island?
Yes. So shortly after, I think started dating October of 2011, and as I mentioned, this bubble, where he'd come over to my house and not leave for like 3 or 4 days, just smoking cigarettes and playing music and reading poetry to me or painting me or, just talking. And then he would.
So hold on. This is
disappear. And there'd be just no.
Hold on, real quick. This is the thing with me, right? When shit like this was like before they got together. This is when, obviously the honeymoon phase, you could say, My issue with these type of things is now it's an issue. So now she's saying that it was going too quick for her. My issue is when stories like this come out, bro, it's like it wasn't an issue when it was happening. This is the thing that pisses me off, because it's like y'all were both enjoying the shit out of the honeymoon phase, bro. So like the fact that she's trying to use this like against It's so stupid, bro.
No way to get a hold of him, no way to contact him. At first, I didn't really think anything about it, but he disappeared at one point, and then came back and said he was doing something.
He's like pushy. So basically nowadays, like the terms is like, what? He's like a predator? Like, come on, bro, relax.
Some health issue, and would I join him in the Bahamas?
It's just stupid, bro.
And I think that's when I learned he had an island, and I was on a trip with a friend of mine in Spain.
I got you.
It was for the holidays, and I kind of rerouted my trip so I could come and land in LA instead of, landing in Miami instead of LA, so I could go and meet him on the island. And he had Keenan come and meet me on that trip, like in Miami. I get off one plane, get onto another, and go and join him on his private island. And I noticed he was drinking Beck's and tea, like lots of tea. And I didn't foolishly think anything of it. I just, thought the man really seriously, I missed it before, but really, really loves tea. And we had this beautiful, I don't know, less than a week probably, trip in the Bahamas, a private island, beautiful sandy beaches. It's a scene that you just don't, I had never experienced anything like that. It was a beautiful place, a beautiful time.
I want to smash.
I fell head over heels in love with this man.
Okay, why are you shaking your head? Like, this chick is hilarious, bro. I fell head over heels over this man. Like, bro, Alute, thank you for the 2 subscription, my fault.
So, after the Bahamas, I assume you came back, and are we talking now early 2012?
Yes, that's
He loves tea,
Okay.
confirmed.
So, what were you doing work-wise
Hearsay.
while you were dating him in this early stage?
What I always do, I would be taking job to job to job, going from one movie to the next, mostly not filming in LA. So weirdly, you live in LA to go shoot on location in other places. So when I was in town, we would go back to this bubble.
Ronan Kino cheered X1. So is this for bum-ass lawyer?
Yeah, this is her lawyer.
Like insular bubble with
Hearsay.
beautiful, blaringly loud music and no one else and nothing else. And then, I'd go off to work. And so would he. Eventually, yeah, he left to shoot Lone Ranger, I believe.
Okay. Now, we've heard a little bit about Lone Ranger, and that's about mid-2012, is that right, when he was shooting that?
That sounds right, mid-2012, yeah.
And were you shooting anything at that time?
I was shooting...
Machete Kills?
I believe I was shooting Machete Kills in Austin. I had a small part in a Robert Rodriguez film that shot in Austin. Okay. I think Johnny was shooting and then having some time off, and there was just a lot of travel, a lot of movement, so.
And so what, if any, visiting did you do with Johnny while he was on his set for Lone Ranger, and where was he?
Well, he was filming all over the Southwest, and at some point I came to visit him and on one of his locations, and I would stay in the house because I couldn't really, occasionally I would leave with his security guards, but I didn't really have anything to do but visit him for a few days. So I'd cook and kind of stay at home and paint or whatever and wait for him to come home and have dinner ready. And we would have these little bubbles, but kind of scattered throughout the Southwest.
What do you mean bubbles?
As he was filming. And at the time, Johnny had, when I first arrived at one of these locations, it was the first time that Johnny told me that he had had a health issue, something with his liver, and that he wasn't, that's why he was not drinking. He was drinking a lot of tea, like a lot of tea.
What? Awesome. All right, we're gonna continue.
Okay. And so we've
Lot of
heard
tea.
a little testimony about boots. What, if anything, did you do to help Johnny with his boots?
Well, I mean, I suppose that I took off his boots, and it made an impression on him, and I was happy to, you know, anything I can do to show love. Certainly how I felt about him. But if he wanted to take off his own boots, he certainly could.
Did you buy Mr. Depp any knives during that time period?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
What, if anything, did you do with respect to knives during the time period you were with him in the Lone Ranger?
Objection leading.
What, if anything?
Overruled. Johnny had a thing for turquoise, and that eventually, you know, being in the Southwest, it can happen really
wanted
quickly.
the bag, bro.
I also too.
So wait. So she's saying he kept their relationship like in a bubble, is what she's saying, and he was hiding liquor in his tea.
Really loved turquoise, and he has he loved knives. He loves a lot of things. When Johnny loves things, he does it a lot, and lots of it. So he had these daggers that he had given me that they were beautiful in design, and they're, you know, long curved daggers, and he just talked a lot about knives, had a knife and gun collection, and was quite proud of it. And at some point, I don't really remember exactly when it was, but at some point I picked up what I thought was a really beautiful turquoise handled knife. And I had it engraved with a saying that Johnny would say to me all the time, which I, you know, thought was romantic, as funny as that is to say now.
And what was the expression, the saying?
Until death, hasta la muerte in Spanish.
Now, by the time that you're visiting Mr. Depp during his shooting of Lone Ranger in the June through August 2012 timeframe, what, if any, relationship has he developed with your family?
Oh, well, starting really early on, Johnny was so kind, so generous to my family, but especially my mom and dad. He met my dad, and my dad's a big personality. He's a rowdy guy, and Johnny just all of a sudden, I had never noticed, you know, Johnny have a southern. All of a sudden, Johnny had this southern accent and was really like buddies with him, and they really.
He's a W man. He's a W man. What do you mean? He's a W man.
Seemed to get along very well. They're, you know, just like instantly.
Wouldn't you want your boyfriend to get along with your mom and dad?
He was giving my dad gifts. He gave him guns.
Hearsay.
He gave him knives. They had this. I mean, Johnny just really just showered my dad. And my dad's a working man, you know, salt of the earth guy. And he was just like, you know, floored. He's getting all these amazing gifts and being invited to come on to these locations. And, you know, Johnny's this big movie star. And my dad was just like, you know, I think my dad would have married him himself, not if I hadn't. And he
Say
just
Annie Vombo
instantly,
here, Dex One.
he gave
You
my
should
mom
watch this with JoJo.
Objection.
jewelry, brought her out to come and see me while I was visiting Johnny on Lone Ranger in some part of the Southwest. I think it was Colorado. He gave her
This
this
dude's
beautiful
really doodling, bro. He don't give a fuck what she's saying.
turquoise necklace, and I mean, they were definitely taken by him.
And what, if any, relationship had Mr. Depp forged with Whitney by this time, your sister?
I believe the relationship came a little bit later as they got to know each other, but he did the same thing with my sister and just really found a bond with them that, you know, was you know, he tried to do anything and everything he could to make them feel like special, and they did. You know, my mom, my dad, and my sister.
And what, if any, relationships did Mr. Depp form with your friends?
Well, Johnny's so generous and can be this really, like, overly generous almost, you know, like showering you with gifts and compliments and just, I mean, like, you know, and he has access and means.
He has an overly way of complimenting. What? Objection! Yo, Baby Beaks, sorry. Your Honor, I'm sorry. Baby Beaks, thank you for the prompt subscription.
To really, you know, we're not talking about giving you a card. We're like talking about just these like extravagant trips or these extravagant gestures, and it's a lot. And he did that with my close friends. I relied heavily on my friends, and had a pretty strong support network with them. And he really just showered them with generosity and love and light, and invited them to come to these exotic places and flew people here and there.
Okay. Get this straight. Sorry, Your Honor. Sorry, Your Honor. So, my lips burning. So, this is a girl that he's dating at this time. Now think about it. This is a girl that he's dating at this time. Your Honor, I'm sorry. Hold on just 1 second. This is a girl that he's dating at this time. Obviously, he wants to make the best impression, because he's, you know, they're both in love, and right now they're just dating. So he's like, you know, like, I'm trying to understand her viewpoint, because this is stupid, bro. This is so stupid on her end, bro. I don't understand. This is,
I mean, it's incredibly, incredibly generous.
So going back to the filming of The Lone Ranger, what, if anything, did Mr. Depp do with respect to a horse?
Objection leading.
What, if anything?
Overruled. Johnny at one point insisted on buying me a horse, and I, of course,
he was quoting her, but that's, bro. You got John. Objection, Your Honor. You got Johnny Depp. This is a larger than life personality, right? He's been doing movies since how long? He has all these access, right? He fell in love with this girl. This chick fell in love with him. They're dating. Obviously, he's trying to like do the best he can, bro. Like he's trying to show all the love. Like you notice how she's not saying he's only like buying. It's different if she was like, so he's only buying. He was only buying things. Like, bro, that's what I'm saying. Every man does that. And not only that, because this isn't even a man thing. It's just, bro, she clearly said that he showered with compliments, with love, like over. This sounds like jealousy, bro. Like, what the hell? He's a great man, bro.
So that's...
You a hater?
Extravagant. There's no way I can accept
didn't you
that.
cheat?
That's...
Little hoe?
Also, how will I take care of that? Or, you know, it's so extravagant. So I said no, of course. Eventually, he got a hold of my dad and worked it out with my dad, like what kind of horse to buy, and then showed me a picture of this horse and said, "It's yours. It's coming here." I think it was being transported, and he said, you know, that he had my dad's help on it, picking out. And you know, I grew up on my dad's horses. You know, I grew up riding with my dad, so
So,
you know, I had.
so do you not hear this? So you grew up on your dad loving horses, taking care of horses, right? Hearsay, Your Honor. Horses. Your boyfriend that you're dating finds out, oh, my girl loves horses. I'm gonna find her the best horse. What are you talking about? Oh, that shit got in my throat. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Hearsay. She's trying so hard, like, bro. He found out. He found out you like something, and he gets you the best available option. Douchebag.
Up to, all of a sudden, I had a cult.
So, so let's take you through 2012 and your relationship.
How dare he buy me a horse, right?
A little bit about
he probably bought her the
how that
legendary horse from Red Dead, bro.
Evolved through 2012.
Hearsay.
It was always intense. It didn't become intense. It almost started.
Hold on. I missed that question.
Up to, all of a sudden, I had a cult.
So, so let's take you through 2012 and your relationship. Could you just describe for the jury a little bit about how that relationship evolved through 2012?
Here we go. You got bullshit, bro.
It was always intense. It didn't become intense. It almost started that way. When I was with him, you know, I felt that electricity in my body. I felt like butterflies. I couldn't, you know, I couldn't see straight practically. It was just, you know, I was head over heels in love. And
that's the honeymoon phase, baby.
He felt like that to me. He felt like he was also in love. I didn't feel like he was faking it. I felt like what we had, it felt like to me at the time there wasn't any love like that, you know? I mean.
So what are you trying to say right now?
And then he started to kind of do this thing again where he'd disappear and he'd come back. And I remember at first when he first started drinking, I didn't really think much of it, but all of a sudden the behavior kind of started to go in line with the disappearing, and he'd come back and he'd just be different. I'd say something, and
so this is when he does his movies. Wait a minute. Okay, this is where we're gonna point out the bullshit. This is what we're gonna point out the BS right now. This is where we're gonna get very specific because, bro, you see how she's saying exactly? She's saying disappear / it equals work. You notice how earlier she said he disappeared. He disappeared for what? For acting. He had a job. Okay. This is what we're gonna unwrap this BS right now, bro. She's not about to pull this, bro.
Saying something else or saying it in a different way, or he would. It was mostly my clothing at the time and me working. That was the main thing. Like, I found myself trying to not talk about auditions because it would change the mood so dramatically. I tried to, you know, he would make these comments about, you know, whoring myself out, but do so in the context of me acting, you know, and he would talk about other actresses who do my role in this way where they were worthless whores, that they were, you know, fame hungry, you know, expletive, you know, just this. The point is, it felt really dirty to be an actor. Never mind that.
I am Diminutia Dex 100. She's trying to make it seem like he's love bombing by showering her with gifts then disappearing.
He was one. it was dirty that I wanted to do this job that I wanted to do, and I was doing the job of an actress. It was everything every time I was walking out of the house, he would ask me, "That's really what you're wearing, kid? Oh, I see." You know, I wore a dress to an event once, and I felt beautiful in it. Like, stupid as that sounds, I felt pretty in this dress I picked out, and I showed it him because it's a carpet, it's red carpet, so it's like, publicized, and I kind of thought it was weird he wasn't saying anything about it. I left him to go do this red carpet, and I was like, "Did you see the event I went to?" Basically, I felt pretty, and I thought, like, "Did you see that?" I wanted him to say something about that, I guess. And he said, well, this is after he stopped talking to me for some time, didn't tell me why. When he came back in my life, he wouldn't explain
why he was acting different. Yeah.
He just kind of acted mad at me.
So y'all went through a little breakup phase. Interesting.
I didn't know what I had done wrong. And when I brought up the dress and the event, because it was an event to support a charity I was really involved with at the time, and I said, "Did you see that thing?" And he said, yeah, I think the whole world saw that, kid. That's how they'll remember you. That's how the world will remember you. And I was like, oh, come on. I mean, it's like, but I felt good in it. I felt good. And he said, yeah, kid, that's what you're putting out there.
Hearsay!
World, no one will ever forget that, and that's all they'll see you as. That's what you wanted. That's what you were going for.
Ronan kind of cheered X1, even though it's unreal how well they know if someone is really lying if no one can prove they are.
This is the tea that we've been waiting on. Listen, I never once said that Johnny was innocent. Okay. I'm here for the tea. Continue.
Dress was low cut. I get it. It's low cut. But I felt, I felt really embarrassed and horrible that I wore that. I felt like, how could I have made that choice? Of course, he's right. And I start to believe it. I started to believe that made a lot of sense, of course. But it didn't stop with that. It was clothing in general. And when I walked out of the house, it wasn't just like, hey, you're not allowed to wear that. It was like, oh, really? That's what you're wearing. No wonder you get cast in those roles. No wonder you that's what you are. That's what you're making it. And it continued. And then there would be a blow up. And at first it was just to throw something, smash some things. It loves to smash up a place, an apartment, furniture.
Hearsay! Ma'am! Judge, huh? She pissed him off for him to do that. The clothes, I can't help him there. He's toxic. But hearsay.
Glass, threw a glass at me, and I remember it was summer. And he just threw this glass across the kitchen. And
Objection!
It didn't hit me, but
Objection! There was a video of her clearly laughing at him throwing stuff. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm gonna shut up.
It shattered behind me, and I remember thinking that it very easily could have hit me.
Hearsay!
And that, calling me a whore, it didn't start with using the whore word. It was just comments until it would escalate. And then I started to notice the pattern of escalation where he'd throw glass or turn over a table.
Objection.
Then he would hit the wall, and then he'd hit
Objection.
the wall really close to my head. You know, like when I'm standing there, you know, just hit the wall screaming at me. But then he would disappear and get clean and sober, and he'd come back and tell me that he was done drinking, he was over it, it's done, cleaned himself up, he had done it before and he'd do it again. And then he would go back to this like wonderful, like almost like just unreal, like but real, you know, but unbelievably nice, sensitive,
Objection.
kind, warm, generous, interesting, funny man that I loved.
Hearsay.
And he would make me feel so loved. Like I would feel so distant from that thing. That was
So you're telling me when he was throwing stuff, you wasn't doing anything? Objection, hearsay.
so scary that I would not even recognize it too. And that was how, you know, our relationship kind of started to develop in that first year.
Do you remember the first time that he physically hit you?
Yes.
Please tell the jury about it.
It was so, it's seemingly so stupid, so insignificant. Oh, never forget it. It changed my life. I was sitting on the couch and we were talking, we were having a normal conversation, you know, just, there was no fighting, no argument, nothing. And he was drinking, and I didn't realize at the time, but I think he was using cocaine because it was like there was a jar of cocaine out on the table. I realize that sounds weird, but it was like an actual vintage jar.
Hearsay.
But I didn't see him use it at the time, so I didn't really factor that in. I just, you know, he's drinking and we're talking and there's music playing and he's smoking cigarettes and we're sitting next to each other on the couch. And I asked him about the tattoo he has on his arm. And to me, it just looked...
Rockle 203 Cheerdex 100. We need to find a name for this cause she's acting bro force quitting tears GTFO.
Hearsay.
like black marks. I didn't know what it said. It just looked like muddled, faded tattoo that was hard to read. And I said, what does it say? And he said it says wino. It says wino. And I didn't see that. I thought he was joking because it didn't look like it said that at all. And I laughed. It was that simple. I just laughed because I thought he was joking. And slapped me across the face. And I laughed. I laughed because I didn't know what else to do. I thought, this must be a joke. This must be a joke. Because I didn't know what was going on. I just stared at him, kind of laughing still, thinking that he was gonna start laughing too to tell me it was a joke, but he didn't. He said, you think it's so funny? You think it's funny, bitch. You think you're a funny bitch. And he slapped me again. Like, it was clear it wasn't a joke anymore. And I stopped laughing, but I didn't know what else to do. You know, I didn't know what to do. You would think you would have a response, but I, as a woman, had never been hit like that.
Hearsay! Her ex, Your Honor! Her ex!
I'm an adult and I'm sitting next to the man I love, and he slapped me for no reason, it seemed like, and I missed the point. It was that stupid.
You've been talking shit.
Second slap, I know he's not kidding, but I don't know what else to say or do, so I just stared at him. I didn't say anything. I didn't react. I didn't move or freak out or defend myself or say, "What are you doing? You're crazy." I just stared at him because I didn't know what else to do. And he slaps me one more time. Hard. I lose my balance. At this point, we're sitting next to each other on the edge of the couch.
Your Honor, she's exaggerating. I'm not disputing she probably got smacked, but I don't think she lost her balance. Continue.
Edge of the couch. And I'm all of a sudden realizing that the worst thing has just happened to me that could possibly happen to you. I realized that I wish so much he had said he was joking, because it didn't hurt. It didn't physically hurt me. I was just sitting there on this carpet, looking at the dirty carpet.
So he was like, she was like, "What's the tattoo? What's the tattoo on your shoulder?" He was like, "This is Wapu. Wepa. Wapu." He was like, he was like, he's like, and they just stared at each other. Objection.
Wondering how I wound up on this carpet and why I never noticed that the carpet was so filthy before, and I just didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react. I just sat there thinking, how much time do I have to figure out what I need to do?
Okay. Hold on, I got my input.
I am Diminutive X1. You said you lost your balance though, but it didn't hurt.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, look. Okay, I was believing her story in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie to you, just because of how Johnny Depp, like, two ways. Like, you know, I thought she was gonna admit at the end, you know, she was probably arguing back or some shit. Cause 100% it wasn't one. It's both of them, bro. But I was starting to, you know, I was taking it in, but now she is dragging the shit out of this. This is a lie. We've already seen how she acts in audio. She does not just sit there and go, like, no, bro. Like, no, she gonna talk her shit, bro. Okay? Continue, Your Honor.
Because, God, did he just hit me?
Yes, he did. He slapped the shit out you.
No.
Yes. Your Honor, hearsay. Oh, that's the fucking government. That's the government. That's the government.
I remember looking at him. And I remember looking at him in the eye and just looking at him, frankly, because I didn't know what else to do. And before I know it, he starts crying. And, you know, like, I had never seen an adult man cry. I didn't even really see my dad cry at my grandma's funeral. You know, it's weird. And he's crying. Tears, I mean, just falling out of his eyes. He gets down on his knees and he grabs my hands and he's touching my hands, and it's done. I will never do that again. I thought I put the monster away.
Whoa!
And I've done it before. It's done. But on his knees, and I didn't have words. I didn't know what to say. I just remember thinking that it was just, he was crying. He seemed so sorry, but I knew I couldn't just forgive him because right? That means it will happen again, no? You know, like, I've seen the health class videos, like everyone else. And I got up in my car, I walked.
Your Honor, hearsay. Your Honor, hearsay. Objection.
To the car. I didn't say anything. I made a point to not say, oh, it's okay, or anything like that. I just didn't say anything. I got up, I went to the car, I sat in my car, and I felt like I sat there forever. I didn't want to turn the key. I just leaned my head up against the window. And I remember just seeing my breath on the windshield, you know, on the glass of the window of the door, just seeing my breath and trying to will myself to have the strength to know what I should do in this moment, because I was heartbroken. And I sat there for a long time, and I eventually...
But she said the windshield. Hold on, bro. Like, hold on. What we talking about? Wait, hold on. Okay. Hold on. How tall is, hold on, bro. How tall is Amber Heard? Can somebody confirm this? While we look this up. How tall is she? Here, have some of this. How tall is she? She's talking about windshield, right? Let's talk about this real quick. 5'6". Okay. The windshield, it goes like this. You're telling me her breath was hot enough and strong enough to go all the way over there? I mean, come on. Your Honor, hearsay.
And drove home.
And what did you do after that?
I don't know. I don't remember what I did when I got home. I don't remember.
Say window? Your Honor. Scrap that, Your Honor. Hearsay.
I went to my therapist. I told her.
Objection, hearsay.
Hearsay.
I'll sustain as to what she may have told her.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I went home, and I, a few days later, started getting, I actually don't know how many days later, but I started getting calls and texts from Johnny, you know, apologizing profusely. I mean, just, you know, he said, I'd rather cut my hand off than ever lay it on you or lay it upon you, you know, and he had that way of talking. It felt like poetry. And he showed up to talk, like with the understanding that, you know, he understood I could never forgive him and it was done. So I felt kind of safe in saying, okay, let's have a talk, or, you know, yeah, we'll talk. I think you know, I know I just wanted to see him, and he comes over, brings me gifts. He brought me a couple cases, actually, of that Vega Sicilia wine that we've heard about, which is a really nice, expensive wine that I could never, at that time, dream of affording, you know.
Hearsay.
And we talk, and he tells me that he had put this thing away, that I could trust him, that it would never happen again. Of course, it would never happen again. That he'd put this thing away. He'd killed the fucker, is what he said to me over and over again. I put that fucker away. I killed that monster. I'll kill it again. It's done. I'll never lay a hand on you again. And I wanted to believe him, so I chose to.
Chose to stay in the relationship?
Yeah, I did. I believed it, but, you know, I believed it wouldn't, I believed that there was a line he wouldn't cross again, and that was it.
How about your line? Look at this face. Let's talk about it real quick. How about your line? How about your line? Your Honor? Here you go, y'all. This shit getting juicy. This shit getting juicy, y'all. I know it. I knew it. I knew it from the moment I seen Johnny. I knew it. Your Honor?
Zesty Vapes Cheer Dex 1. This is why I say all you fellas need a fleshlight Zesty 1 shit.
Here, grab some chips, y'all. This shit getting juicy. Here, say, Your Honor.
So then I'm gonna jump to, and it's not much of a jump, to June 26, 2013. There was a plane ride to Russia with Johnny. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that particular event.
Please do.
Well, that was the first and last time I ever decided it would be a decent idea to do drugs with Johnny. I did MDMA with him on the plane, which was as stupid as it may sound. I just had never, I was very against, obviously the cocaine had been
Hearsay, Your Honor.
problem. I was
Hearsay.
very much against him using cocaine. I was against the drinking, supportive of the sobriety, but I'm 26 maybe, ish. And I wanted, I had never heard of anyone making MDMA.
Objection, Your Honor. There was paperwork of her saying that she had 1 to 3 glasses of wine every single day. Hearsay. Sustained.
I had done MDMA before. I thought it's a lovey drug. It's it's like a kind of, I never knew anyone to get violent on it. And,
hey, Nicole, here. Got some chips.
I thought, well, this is a relatively contained environment. Maybe this will be different. Maybe I can be a good cop and be part of the, I don't have to be the lesbian counselor all the time, as you would say. I could maybe be the fun girlfriend.
Oh,
and
Johnny.
I learned the hard way that was not happening.
So what happened?
Well, we took MDMA. I took a capsule. It's like a powder in a capsule. I took a capsule, and Johnny took several. I didn't count, but it's very
Objection,
different
Your Honor.
when you see someone take one versus a handful of something. But nothing seemed to set any alarm bells off, and things were going fine until the flight attendant got involved. The flight attendant came by, was engaging with us. I don't think that they're really, it felt like it was before the effects of the drug took over. It was relatively quick, soon after we first took our dose.
Objection.
You can say, and the flight attendant, Johnny offered her some. She of course said no, and then after some back and forth between them, Johnny convinced her that it would be fine, so she acquiesced and took MDMA with us.
The flight attendant took the drugs with them?
A few minutes go by, and the same thing happened that happened on the mushrooms at Hicksville with the woman, Kelly Sue, who I've told you about. Flight attendant got friendly with me, but just friendly, just like MDMA friendly, was kind of, I'm a woman, he's a man, so she was naturally, I think, more comfortable with me physically. She kind of leaned into me and kind of sat on the arm of the chair I was sitting in. I mean, after all, she's on drugs, and Johnny grabs her hand and tells her not to touch me, and she kind of reacts in a way like she's defending herself and
they're married, Your Honor.
Clarify. And he grabbed her by the wrist and slammed it down on the table and told her he could break her wrist. And I remember thinking, I've heard this before. And that was a pattern that would repeat itself a few times. These things would happen in these kind of cycles where there would be a certain element that would get filtered for a while, whether it's an accusation or a gesture, and that would be the thing that he looped on. I called it loops. And he grabs her wrist and he tells her,
Rockle 203 Cheerdex 100. How are you not into hard drugs but know the effects of Madun shrooms and all this shit?
Objection. Hearsay.
Cries instantly, denies it, is so apologetic. Eventually he lets go. She goes to the front of the plane where the flight attendant normally hangs out, and the doors close, and I don't see her much of that whole flight. We land in Russia, and I don't really remember, I don't recall any violence on the plane between Johnny and I, but I remember feeling this tension because I was wondering when it was gonna aim at me because he had this particular thing about, well, at the time I understood he had a particular thing, a sensitivity about me and women because I had had a female partner.
Objection, Your Honor.
So I was feeling nervous, anxious, and I remember we had a very quiet ride, at least I didn't say anything, to the ride to the hotel. And almost as soon as we get into the hotel room, Johnny's accusing me of effectively having engaged.
Slice up Shakira Cheerdex 100.
Caused that.
She's storytelling. She was given a script that she memorized. Think about when you recount a memory, no one speaks this way. My breath fogged the window. WTF.
Objection! Hearsay!
I, of course, deny it, point out what I thought was obvious, that, you know, like we'd given her drugs, you know, wasn't an affair, wasn't, you know, and I'm trying to argue and defend myself at the same time, and at one point, Johnny just shoves me.
Zesty Vapes Cheerdex 1. I know the judge is a mean streak Subway Surfer right now.
Objection!
Like, I mean, just shoves me hard. And I fall back onto this glass table. I catch myself on the table. I don't know how some furniture got knocked around. There was a, you know, I'm trying to stand up for myself. I'm trying to stand up, literally. I'm not, you know, at this point, I don't even try to hit back or try to run. I'm in this hotel room trying to do my best to fight mostly the verbal accusations, but also I try to stay on my feet, you know. At some point, Johnny whacks me in the face. And
shit.
I don't even...
Objection!
I don't remember feeling pain or like awareness of my nose or anything. I don't remember thinking that. I remember kind of crying and feeling. I went into the bathroom and I wanted him to.
On what grounds is your objection, Mr. Physical Gamers?
Have a, like, I just remember wanting him to realize what had happened. I wanted him to kind of snap out of it. I wanted him to care. I wanted him to realize what was going on, because a big part of this, I felt like he wasn't aware. There was this sense that he didn't know what was going on. You know, again, I don't know how much of the drugs or alcohol is a part of this, but I remember crying. I came out at some...
To Annie Vombo Cheerdex 1, and the Oscar goes to head ass.
Hearsay!
At some point, because I don't hear him in that room. I remember we had been arguing in the main room, but I went out to the hallway, which is where I presume he walked out, and his bodyguard, Jerry Judge, was in the hall. And I don't recall seeing Johnny in the hallway, but I remember seeing Jerry Judge, who gestured to my nose.
Objection, hearsay.
She's just saying gesture. He hasn't said anything yet.
Oh, sorry.
Gesture's fine. I'll overrule the objection.
He gestures to my nose and holds out his handkerchief, like a cloth handkerchief. And I instantly just felt really embarrassed. I felt ashamed. I don't know how else to describe it. I just felt like just really embarrassing. And I went inside the room.
What, if any, injury did you have?
I had a little blood coming out of my nose. I didn't know it. I didn't feel it at the time until Jerry gave me Jerry let me know.
Okay.
And I went inside the hotel room, and as embarrassing as it is, I remember just wanting Johnny to say sorry. I wanted him to realize it. It's so stupid, but like the emotional part, you know, I just wanted him to acknowledge that this was, that he could hurt me, you know, and I wanted it to be okay. I didn't want him to think I was interested in this flight attendant. I didn't want him to think that I would be capable.
S0 Large Cheerdex 1, is she really trying to sell the substance abuse lead to domestic abuse?
Well, cheating on him, I was in love with him. I wanted, I just wanted things to be okay.
Let's take you to July 9, 2013. Did there come a time that you went for a ride on...
Objection, y'all!
To Annie Vombo Chiridex 1, Johnny woke up Chris Breezy. Zesty Vapes Chiridex 500. I know the judge is on Candy Crush right now waiting for her to be quiet so they can say huh? Oh damn, that's crazy.
Hearsay.
Bahamas and went on a ride the
Yes,
yacht
thank you for
with
the
Johnny
500
and his
bits, bro.
kids.
Well, it's less like we flew out to the Bahamas to his island. He was selling the yacht to J.K. Rowling, and he wanted to kind of have a goodbye trip on the yacht. So it was docked off the island, and I went with him and his kids, who I had quickly developed a bond with and loved. And we brought a friend along with us, I think, to kind of help. And yeah.
Okay. Tell the jury what happened on that trip.
Johnny was upset that he had to sell the boat, and he was off the wagon again, but he didn't want to tell his kids, so he was hiding it from them. He was putting it in coffee cups.
Objection!
And drinking, and the behavior just kind of like, he was upset, he was emotional, and he just, that's how he dealt with it, just drink. But there's just no off button with Johnny. So he just kept drinking, and the behavior kept getting more obviously drunk. And Lily Rose, his daughter at the time, was young, just like maybe 14. And she started to get panicky and started to ask me questions about his drinking.
Objection, hearsay.
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Without saying
No
what
family
Lily Rose was
hearsay.
saying, please
No
continue
family
on.
talk.
Sustain the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sustain.
So she was asking me
Hearsay.
questions about the drinking, and was very upset.
Sustain the objection.
Yeah, you can't say what Lily Rose said.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you can tell gestures,
Sorry.
you can tell, and you can say what you and Mr. Depp said.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sorry. So she was upset, and Johnny we were with the kids, and he kind of threw himself off the boat in a half playful way, like a dead fish kind of way. I don't know how to describe it, almost like a belly flop. But we were on a skip, like a smaller boat parked next to the yacht, and he's jumping. Well, he jumped off the front of it, but kind of in a chest forward way, like it looked a little scary, like not something somebody would do if they're completely okay. It was started off all of us kind of taking turns jumping off the edge of the yacht.
Objection, Your Honor. They were having fun
into
jumping off the
water,
boat.
And then he, at one point, kind of throws himself over, and it looked a little scary. The way his body fell into the water, and Lily Rose started to cry and expressed to me that she
Objection,
was
hearsay.
upset.
Sustained.
You
Objection!
can't say what she said. You can tell expressions or observations, but you can't say what Lily Rose said.
So Lily Rose is crying, and then the crying becomes like a panic, like almost like a panic attack. Like rapid breathing, crying, lots of questions. And I'm holding her, kind of comforting her, and Johnny comes in, and within a few seconds, I realize that he, kind of shifted his attention on me, and then he seemed very angry. He asked Lily Rose to leave. Lily Rose leaves, looks at me, leaves, crying, and Johnny, I don't remember the words he used, but starts accusing me of kind of like telling on him and calling him, a drunk in front of his kids. I hadn't done that. I was actually trying to protect Johnny. I wasn't, it
Objection.
didn't feel like my place at all to share that with his daughter or anyone at the time other than adults who might help with it, but not his kids. So I was trying to tell him, I was just trying to comfort her. I was trying to protect you. He basically was accusing me of doing this thing and of making them aware of his that he was drinking again. And he slams me up against the side wall of the bedroom of the we were in the bedroom this whole time, but up against the wall of the cabin, and slams me up by my neck and holds me there for a second and tells me that he could fucking kill me. And that was an embarrassment. I was embarrassing. It was embarrassment. This whole thing was a joke. It was all embarrassment. I made him feel sick. And I'll never forget. I'm very, very, very much in love with this whole family now. And he's saying I'm embarrassing to him. And that somehow stuck in me more than the I could fucking kill you. It just sounded like hyperbole. It sounded like something he was just saying, but the names that he was calling me, well, kind of just pushing me up against the wall by my neck, you know, it hurt my feelings. It hurt. When I communicated when I saw Lily Rose again, we get, I won't say what she told me, but the next thing we do is we call for a helicopter to come and take us off of the boat or off of the island. So we leave the boat, go to the landing of a part of the island, or maybe it was a different, island we had to get to leave, and we take off. I'm holding Lily Rose in literally holding her under my arm while she's crying, and we're lifting off.
Objection, Your Honor.
Jack ended up not coming with us at the last minute. He stayed behind. And we were taking off, and I remember being really torn about leaving. I felt.
Brand Bonanza tip $25. PG, you said you need a haircut. I agree. You look a little nappy on the side.
Objection, you hearsay. Overruled.
I felt bad about leaving, even though that had happened. I still felt awful leaving. I felt awful leaving him. I also felt like I had done something wrong, like he was mad at me. I wasn't sure, what I had done, but I remember not being, I'm getting all these text messages from him calling me all these names, and it was barely coherent, barely. And I'm holding his daughter crying.
And let me just stop you for a moment.
Missy_Chris Simpton cheer Dex 1. Johnny supposedly did all this, yet there are no recordings of this. SMH.
Hearsay. Under what grounds? No audio.
Zesty Vapes cheer Dex 50. I know the court reporter who gotta type all this out wanna take a mean lunch break right now. Okay, it'll stop.
Hearsay.
Well, Michelle, can you pull up Defendant's Exhibit 180?
Do you believe that's already in
It is already into evidence, Your Honor, so if we may publish it to the jury. And Amber, I'm going to ask you to take a look at 180. And this is text messages from Mr. Depp to you. Do you recall these?
Yes, I do.
And are these the text messages?
Yes, that's what he was sending me while I was taking care of his daughter.
Objection.
Your Honor, I'm about to go into another event. I keep going.
Objection, Your Honor. That's a what pad? Objection.
Let's go to Hicksville. Let's tell the jury about Hicksville, May 2013. Can you tell?
You called her a squarehead? Objection, bro. What the?
Quest
That'd be
_Pink
weird, bro.
Cheer Dex 1. Objection, Your Honor. My client was method acting in those texts.
The jury what
He was Jack Sparrow in those texts.
transpired at Hicksville?
It's a like a fancy trailer park, like a little hotel in the middle of nowhere, set up with these little trailers, and we had made a plan to go there with friends, and we were going to do, you know, like laffy, as we said, laffy drugs, like mushrooms, eat mushrooms, sit by a campfire. There's really not a whole lot else to do out there. It's like a getaway. We had made this plan, and it was going fine. It was like a, you know, kind of like a party out in the desert, with a few friends and campfire and music. And I don't know who somebody brought MDMA. It was being passed around, and somebody who took it kind of was starting to feel the effects of it, I guess is the best way to describe. She kind of reacted in this way where when the MDMA hit her, she kind of, you know, we were sitting around a campfire, all of us, and she kind of just leaned into me and put her, you know, head on my shoulder and kind of grabbed my arm. I took it, you know, to be the effects of the drug. I think I had eaten a mushroom cap, but was not feeling anything at the time. I don't remember feeling anything because the night just kind of changed pretty dramatically before I really felt anything of the effects of that. But that was the environment we were in, and as soon as she kind of did this thing where she leaned into me, Johnny gets really activated. He gets really upset, and he starts, well, at first she thought he was kidding too. She thought he was kind of making a joke. I think we all did. Everyone kind of responded at first, you know, like it was a joke, but he was like, hey man, what are you doing? You know, what do you think you're doing? And she kind of giggled and kind of leaned into me more. And I knew in my body just instantly that it wasn't a joke. But she didn't. So she's kind of still attached to my arm when he says it again to her louder. He says, hey man, you think you're touching my fucking girl? You think you're touching my fucking girl? That's my fucking girl. And he gets louder and louder. And she kind of did this thing, half understanding what was going on. I think she kind of started to cry at this point, but she kind of threw up her hands, and Johnny grabbed her wrist and kind of twisted it and pulled her into him and said, do you know how many pounds of pressure it takes to break a human wrist? Huh? And he kind of held her, and she just looked frozen. And she's crying, and was just denying understanding what was going on. I stepped in. I kind of take Johnny's arm around, kind of take Johnny's hand, and kind of we start communicating. I don't remember if he immediately was accusing me or if it was sometime after. I wish I remembered, but we agreed that we'd go and talk about it in the trailer. So we walked to the trailer, and when we're in the trailer, Johnny, by the time we get into the trailer, Johnny tells me that I had been instigating the, like, you know, and asking for this, and that I had invited it, and that I hadn't been honest with him about my relationship with this woman, and I didn't really know her that well. I mean, I actually don't know her at all, but
Rockle203 cheered X40. So did she file a report? Why it's always breaking wrists.
Objection.
Sebastian Mofo cheered X1. She SH.
I had met her, and I remember in the trailer, he's accusing me of lying about it, and that I had something with her. I'm trying to diffuse that. I'm trying to calm him down, and he just turned all that. It seemed like he turned all that rage onto the trailer itself, and he just started smashing things. He picked up something on the table and threw it right into the glass cabinet. He hit with his hand a wall sconce. He cleared the tabletop on the little fold down like kitchen dining room area in this trailer. I mean, it's a trailer, so there's only so much you can do. And he's screaming at me, just screaming at me. And I eventually go back into the bedroom area. He comes into the bedroom area. We had what I can only describe as it sounded like nonsense from him. It wasn't making sense. And I realized that he's just probably really high. Because it wasn't making sense anymore. It wasn't like a direct accusation. He wasn't hearing me when I was saying I wasn't involved, wasn't cheating on him. I wasn't secretly trying to engage this woman in some sort of sexual affair. And then it became clear to me he was like looking for something. He cleared things off the bed. I went into the bathroom, and as I come out, he asked me where it is and how long I've been hiding it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he says, you know what I'm fucking talking about. You know what I'm fucking talking about. Be honest with me. Where are you hiding it?
Oh.
And he kind of like makes to look into the bathroom. And I gestured to the bathroom, which was to my right. I kind of like gestured to him, and I said, like, what am I hiding and where am I gonna hide it?
Say Annie Vombo cheered X1. Should have just gave him a Snickers SMH.
And we're sitting in this little hallway area outside of the bathroom, and he starts, what feels like patting me down.
Oh. Another Day Studios cheered X7. Johnny put the shades on to deflect all the spout of BS.
Or saying he's patting me down, I can't recall, but he ripped my dress, the strap top part of my dress. I had just dyed this thing myself pink, and it's just one of those things. I was like, that's I just finished that dress, and he's like grabbing my breasts, he's touching my thighs, he rips my underwear off, and then he proceeds to do a cavity search.
Sebastian Mofo cheered X1. She sound like she auditioning for a role on Law and Order.
He said he was looking for his drugs, his cocaine, his coke. I was wondering how somebody who didn't do cocaine and was against it, that was in and of itself causing problems in our relationship. How could I hide? Why would I hide his drugs from, like he was insinuating that I was doing it or something?
Zesty Vapes cheered X5. The judge about to say, don't bust a nut, well, be right back.
It made no sense. And He was telling me we're gonna conduct a cavity search, shall we? Like, just shoved his fingers inside me.
Residual Pirate 94 Chiridex 1, in the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate, yet equally important, groups, the police, who investigate crime, and the district attorneys, who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
I just stood there staring at the stupid light. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there. While he did that, he just twisted his
Here's
fingers
the
around.
honor. Oh, shit.
Ivoline_Cheerdex10, in a different version of the stream you can see Johnny doesn't look at her once and he's curled up versus how Amber was staring him down the whole time.
Nah, they've been showing him. They've been showing him.
I didn't say, like, stop or anything. I just...
All right.
Ronan Kindo Chiridex 1, Shy trying to force IT leak at MF.
Hearsay. No more. No more.
So the next morning, what transpired?
Hearsay, Your Honor.
I remember thinking that Johnny would change his mind. And it would be, yeah, I thought.
Child Lovely, thank you for the $3, bro. Hearsay, though, you know?
Thought it would end differently. I kind of froze. I don't know how we went to bed that night. I don't know how I went to bed. I don't know how I slept. I don't know how we woke up. I don't remember having a conversation with him the next day. I don't remember talking to him about it or confronting him about it. I remember wanting it to be okay. I remember just wanting whatever fucking weird trip, whatever trip that was to end, you know, just to be over and for it to just go back to normal. And I remember my friends were out by the pool. Like
Hearsay, Your Honor.
there was a pool in the center of the trailer park. And
Hearsay.
I remember putting on my, just putting on my face and going back into this like crowd, and I remember seeing my friends by the pool thinking they were just having a great time and no one knew what was, I felt so lonely, like no one knows everyone was just having a good time, like normal stuff. So I just smiled and made a joke about how trashed the trailer got, and we had to get the manager, who started off furious that Johnny had wrecked the thing. And then he had this like black mesh not tank top, it was like a meshy kind of shirt on. And I remember he came into the trailer and looked around and was like, whoa, what happened here? Whoa. And Johnny had an exchange with him. And I remember watching this man be so charmed. It was just a kind of a surreal experience. And, it just went away. That just got fixed. We walked out of the trailer at some point. My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet and went on with our, vacation. We actually went to another location after that and then eventually went home and went about our life.
I'm going to ask you to take a look. Michelle, can you bring up Defendant's Exhibit 176? So next bill was in May of 2013. Did there come a time that you wrote an email?
Objection, leading hearsay, Your Honor. May we approach?
All right.
Ooh, they're coming. Yes, sir. Johnny's lawyer's turn. Objection.
In June 2013, how were you feeling about your
Still her lawyer.
relationship
Jesus
with Mr.
Christ.
Depp?
May we have the exhibit taken away from...
sure.
Thank you.
By June, I was so torn. I was so in love with this person. Because when it was good, it was so good. You've never felt love like that. At least that's how it felt. So much. I felt like he recognized me and I recognized him, and there was just something
Objection, Your
there
Honor.
that
Objection.
I thought he was the love of my life.
Ed. Objection. Thank you for the big 15, bro. Sheesh. Thank you, Em. Hearsay.
And he was. He was. But he was also this other thing. He was also this other thing. And that other thing was awful. Awful thing that would come out and take over. And it was, you couldn't see the Johnny I loved underneath it. It was this other thing. And no one told him. No one was honest with him. No
Objection, Your Honor. She's looking at the jury. She's trying to win him over. Hearsay. Hearsay.
You know, he'd pass out in his own vomit. He'd lose control of his body, his, you know, he'd lose control, and everyone would clean up after him. I cleaned up after him. I mean, this man lost control of his bowels, and I cleaned up after him.
Objection. She can't. Under what grounds? She talking about he couldn't control his or what? Didn't you drop feces on his bed? Hearsay.
His security cleaned up after him, changed his pants in front of me. He would pass out in his own sick. You know, and then he'd walk around saying he didn't have a problem. Until he did. Until he couldn't support it anymore, and he'd get clean and he'd get sober, and then he was this thing again. This thing that made me feel so loved, that made me feel like my
Objection. There's no tears.
my soulmate. As cheesy as that sounds, I just felt
Objection.
like he knew me. And I recognized something in him, either some part of my makeup and my background or something that I just got it. And I loved him and understood.
Objection. That's VR. That's VR. Objection.
Him. It just got so scary, the other part of him. And in June, I wanted to leave him. I didn't want to leave him. I wanted to leave him. I wanted him to get better. And he expressed to me so many times when he was in that period of getting clean and sober, he would tell me, "You saved my life. Baby girl, you saved my life." everyone else was saying that to me, and I believed it. You know, if everyone else was saying it, he was saying it, I thought, just like his other friends who had gotten clean and sober and stayed that way, his older friends, these rock stars that he hung out with that had like gotten clean and sober and they had 20, 30 years, something, you know, I thought, and Johnny told me he would be that
Your
person,
Honor.
that he was going to be that person.
Absolutely, Eb Slaughter, absolutely. Hearsay. Hearsay. No shot, though, no shot.
I
Thank
believe
you for the
it.
Big Ten. Hearsay, though.
I had so much, I looked at that man, twice my age, you know, I was 25, looking at this man twice my age, and I saw hope and like promise. I had so much hope. You know, the whole thing, kids and growing old together, sort of hope. If it was just for this one thing that he
Objection,
could do,
Your Honor.
which would save his life, which would be to get clean and sober. And I believed it. And I wrote this letter to myself, among many letters to myself.
Objection,
because I thought,
hearsay.
Hearsay, Your
All she
Honor.
did was refer to that she wrote it. She isn't saying what she said.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Your
I
Honor.
wrote that letter because I thought it would be read to him. I could read it to him. I could say it to him in intervention, you know, in help. And he would later thank me.
Hearsay.
BMU Chiridex 1. Objection, Your Honor. This is the definition I've been talking about.
Hearsay, Your Honor. So that was day one of Miss Amber Heard. Apparently tomorrow, Johnny Depp's lawyer is going to the stands. Well, to be asking questions. Objection. Objection, objection.
D-Shy Chiridex 100. She shows more emotion talking about how much he loved her than when she is talking about him slapping her. She is repeating the same story. How did he take all her hope but she was out with friends after times she claims that he hit her? Objection. Fuckery.
Hearsay. Oh, yo, M Slaughter!
M Slaughter tipped $20. Much love, Hearsay.
Sheesh, much love, Hearsay. W day one. Your Honor. I'm excited for this tea, bro. God damn.